Hey everybody, today we are going to do 2-point perspective, and the only difference between 2-point and 1-point is that there are 2 points instead of 1 point. And I'll go over some things with you and show you some video or some pictures on the on Canvas of 2-point perspective photographs, so you can see kind of what we're going for. But essentially, the last time we did a perspective drawing, we were dealing with 1 point, so everything was going towards a vanishing point off in the distance, like if you're like in the middle of the road or in the middle of a room. And now we're going to shift and turn, and when you shift and turn your head in a direction, all of a sudden you have 2 different vanishing points. Things are going to start going. You're going to have one wall going one way and one wall going another way, or you're going to have a corner of a building, like and 2 roads going down, or whatever it might be. Even if you're like standing and looking at a table at an angle, right? You can see both sides of the table as they sit in front of you. So 2-point perspective, super important to understand. It's not difficult, it's really easy. So let's just go over it really quickly. First thing we're going to do, we're going to create a horizon line. The horizon line, if we go lower, just like with 1-point perspective, if we go lower, that means that we're closer to the ground. If we go up higher, that means that we get further up higher, above the ground. So as high as we can go, and all of a sudden we're starting to look down on something. As low as we go, the lower we go, you're looking up at something. So we're just going to go right down the middle. This will look most likely like we're kind of like looking out the, off a balcony of a building or something like that. So I'm just going to draw a horizon line. And my vanishing points are going to be set on each corner of the paper like this. So just one right here, one right there. Now, something to be said about vanishing points. The vanishing points on here and here, I've kind of just designated them as on the sides of the paper. Vanishing points can change and can go further away or closer depending on how steep you're looking at something. For example, if I look at a 90-degree angle, so I'm looking at like a corner of a building, and I see one side of the building and the other side of the building, if I look at it dead straight on, these vanishing points are going to be kind of equal. They're going to both be about the same distance away from the corner. But as soon as I move to the left or to the right, the vanishing points, depending on which side I see less of, which side of the building I see less of, the vanishing point is going to come closer and closer and closer. So it's going to get steeper and steeper and steeper. And sometimes, most of the time actually, we don't see both vanishing points. You have to step way back and look at something from really far away to be able to see both vanishing points. Most of the time what you see is probably one or the other, or even not at all, depending on how close you are to what you're looking at, whether it's a table, a building, a corner of a room, whatever it is. You most likely are not going to see both vanishing points because we can't see that far to the left or to the right with our peripheral vision. We're only going to see so much. So the reason that I designated these on the sides of the paper is for one reason. It's going to give us a lot of drawing room. So we're going to go all the way to the side here and all the way to the side here, but also we're going to try and mimic what we would see in a photograph to help us understand that vanishing points rarely are seen in our peripheral vision. It's really tough. Like if I stand at the corner of a street and I want to look down both streets and I'm able to see both streets like going down to 2 vanishing points, that's going to be really hard to do. I'd have to like go back, hundreds of feet and be able to see down 2 streets. Most of the time I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to have to choose one street or the other to look down at and then see a little bit of the other street. So you'll understand more about that as we go into this. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to draw my corner, and I don't need to necessarily put my corner right in the middle, so I'll do it a little bit like right of center. And I'm going to draw just a corner of a building, so about that big. You can see that. This is going to be my corner of a building, and it's going to be the corner of my street. And the street is going to go back like this, and then another street's going to go back like this. So to start that out, I'm just going to kind of give myself some building blocks to work with. So I'm going to draw this line. So this will be the beginning of my sidewalk. So I'm going to come from this line and go back. So again, vanishing point number 1, vanishing point number 2. We're going to go back to these vanishing points. And then the top of my building, I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to draw this really lightly because I'm going to erase a little bit of it anyway, because I'll start drawing other buildings as they go back through the street. So here we go. Okay, so now we have the corner of a building. Now this could be one building, right? It's just a massive building that goes forever, this way and this way. But we don't want to do that. We're going to draw a city. So I'm going to stop my building, so I'll just cut it off like this. And now I have one side of a building, and I'll cut it off over here like this. And now I have my cube. I have a building here, and I can draw another building and another building and another building and another building. The thing you have to remember with 2-point perspective is that one side of your cube is going to go to the left vanishing point, and another side of the cube, the right side, is going to go to the right vanishing point. So if we draw a building, and I'm just going to do another one right here, so I'll make a little bit of space. It's going to be like an alleyway or something like that. I'll do a little bit of space, and I'll draw another building, a tall one like this. So here's another corner, just like I drew here. Here's another corner. And the top of this building is going to go down to the vanishing point. So I'm just going to draw really lightly like this. And then this side right here is going to go down to the vanishing point like this. So I have now this side of the building going to the vanishing point here, this side of this building going back to that vanishing point. And I'm going to cut it off. So that's my building right here, and let's cut it off right there. So now I have two buildings. One building here that's the closest to us. Here's the corner of our street, and then there's another building next to this one. We can do the same thing over here. I'll just a little bit of space between each building. You don't have to do that, but I'd like to just to illustrate some points here that as we draw the buildings, we need to focus on making sure that each side goes to the vanishing point. So this is going to come all the way really lightly to that point, and then I can cut it off wherever I want. So this building, let's make it this big on this side, and then I do the same thing on this side. So right here, I'm going to make it go to my vanishing point like this, and then I'm going to only go about that far, and then I'll cut it off right there. So, and I could have drawn a line all the way to here, but you guys get this. You guys understand what's going on. Now, something that always comes up in 2-point perspective drawing that's sometimes a mistake is that this line right here and right here, because I have to draw the bottom of this building, right? I can't just have it like all of a sudden just kind of disappear. They're going to have a line somewhere in here. We have to make that line go back to the vanishing point, just like we did with the top. The bottom's got to do the same thing, and same thing with this side right here. So I'm going to take this. Let's do this one on the right first. So that's going to go all the way back to that vanishing point. And then this one on the left right here, from this corner of the building, so this right here, you guys can see it better if I go underneath like this, and that's going to go all the way to the vanishing point right there. So now we have 3 buildings. We have a building here, a building here, a building here, and each one, the left side is going to the left vanishing point, the right side of the building is going to the right vanishing point. Okay, next thing that we do is I'm going to set up a sidewalk. So I'm only going to come out about yay far, because these buildings are going to be fairly big, so a sidewalk wouldn't be that big in comparison. So I'm just going to go about to there, and then do the same thing here, like this. And this is where that idea of a idea of vanishing points and not being able to see them comes into play. If I were looking out of a window and I saw, this play out, chances are I wouldn't see these two vanishing points. In fact, the vanishing points probably would be further back like this. They'd be going out here much further, and I would not be seeing it at this steep of an angle. To help us understand that, to help us realize what we're doing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop this, and I'm just going to go, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say that this is my photograph here. I'm going to set it up like this. And everything that I put in my now I have this border here. Everything that I draw is going to remain here. I'm going to draw everything in here. I'll use the vanishing points, but I'm not going to draw anything beyond what I've cropped. So all of my drawing is going to basically stop right here, and all of my drawing is going to stop right here, at least when I start going details and everything. And this is going to help us understand that vanishing points rarely fall on the paper or the picture that we take. Most of the time, they're going to be further off on one side or the other. So this will help us kind of understand that or see that. And it's not a perfect science, or at least it's not a perfect science in this drawing, but it's going to kind of help illustrate it. So I'm going to draw another building right here and right there. Just going to add some buildings. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 buildings here. Next thing is the sidewalks and the curb. The curb is going to be teeny. I'm just going to barely put in a curb. It's going to be pretty, like a little sliver, because it wouldn't be very big at all in relation to the buildings and everything else. Okay. The next step, and really the last step that I need to show, because most of the rest of the stuff that you guys will do on this, you will be able to do on your own, right? Like windows, doors, all of that stuff, it all follows the same program of either this side, it's going to go to that vanishing point, this side, it's going to go to that vanishing point. So I did, if I did windows or a door or anything like that, archways, whatever it is, it's always just going to go back to the vanishing point. But one thing that we do need to understand, and that is often overlooked, is that the lines in the sidewalk and lines that are going into one of the buildings. So let's say that this is like an opening right here. It was like a garage, and you were looking into the building. We don't want to draw straight lines or lines that go like this. We always need to refer back to the vanishing point. So let's just illustrate that really quickly like this. If I wanted to make this building, let's say it's a glass building, or it's a building that you can see through, or whatever it is, there's a big window, whatever, we can see the other side of this building. So let's just make it transparent, just a big glass cube to illustrate it. So from this corner right here, I'm going to draw to the vanishing point, and from this corner, I'm going to draw to the vanishing point. So we can see this wall, and then the wall that's on the other side of the building. So right here, I'm just going to take this, go like that. And from this corner, I'm going to draw back to the vanishing point. Make sure I can get the corner here. Okay. So now we have this wall here and this wall here. They're going the same direction. They're going back to the vanishing point. And we're going to do it one more time, and we're going to do from this side. So this wall right here, and we're going to draw this wall that's on the other side of the building here. Like this. So I'm going to draw from my corner here, make sure it's going back up to the vanishing point. And this side right here, we're going to make sure that it's going back to the vanishing point. So now we see the inside of our cube. This would be the ceiling. This would be the floor. So now it's a transparent cube. We can see all the sides, right? All 6 sides of this cube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So understanding this, when we draw the lines in the sidewalk, when we draw a crosswalk, when we draw anything that is going back in space, and it's either going in this direction or this direction, we always have to be thinking about going back to the vanishing point. So lines on the sidewalk, what's tempting for some students is to go in there and just be like, all right, here are my lines, boom, 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 boom. And it looks really funny because the sidewalk lines, it looks like all of a sudden our sidewalk is like, like turned, like the earth is like falling in and it's a big black hole or whatever, big sinkhole. So each line that we draw always has to go back to the vanishing point. So as we draw each line, they're going to get a little bit flatter as they approach the horizon line. So I always have to make sure that it's going back to my horizon line, or back to the vanishing point. So on my left side, my left sidewalk, it's going to go back to the right vanishing point, like this. So you notice how these lines, each one is at a different angle because they're all referring back to this. And then the same thing is going to happen here. Going back like that, always referring back to that vanishing point and making sure it's going the right direction. Right there, and right there, and right there. Okay, and then we can put in those vertical lines on the curb where we have lines. So I'll just put these little hatch marks, little marks to show the corner. From there, you can do anything. I mean, you can go in and draw doors, windows, awnings, moldings. I mean, whatever, how detailed you would ever like to be with this, but understanding this principle that whatever we draw, it's either going to be a vertical line or it's going to be a line that goes back to the vanishing point here or back to the vanishing point here. If you follow that, kind of keep saying that to yourself, that you only have 3 lines that you can choose from. Now if we draw, arches or awnings that kind of come out like this and sit like this, we're going to draw lines that are going different directions. I recognize that. But that's, embellishing things to a certain extent. But when we're drawing any major thing, like the bricks on this building or the doors, the windows, always be referring back to our 2 vanishing points, right here and right here. And that's it. So you can do lots of really awesome drawings. Lots of awesome drawings with 2-point perspective. I'm just going to grab one really quickly and show you what we did in class. So this was one that I did one period right here. And notice, I added people, also following the same idea, right? If I draw one person and then I draw a line back from the head and from the foot, I get a pretty good idea of how big people are going to be as they go back in space. So the crosswalk, you can see I drew the crosswalk. Each line is going to refer back to the vanishing point. I've got this one right here. I did a little bit more finished job on this because we had time to do some value. Had a light source coming from here, so all the sides of the building on the right side are going to be in shadow. This is from another period here, right here. And the horizon line, just to give you an idea, when you move the horizon line up, notice how we start to see further down. So like the horizon line in this one, this red line is way up here, so that means that we're looking down on buildings. We can see there, the top, the roof, or whatever. If I move the horizon line lower, it means we're looking up at things. So just to recognize, we decided to put the line right in the middle on this one. So it's going to be kind of like you're looking outside of a balcony on a building or something like that. Anyway, good luck and enjoy 2-point perspective.